And welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. We are reporting from Jerusalem, Israel this week, and coming up in the show, a look at the incredibly difficult task of securing Jerusalem's Old City, a potential tinderbox of 1 square kilometer, which contains the holiest sites for 3 major religions. We're going to get to all that here in just a little bit. But first, we begin with the Supreme Court immunity decision granting presidents full immunity from official acts while giving them no immunity from unofficial acts. Very common sense ruling coming down today. It's extremely sensible. But of course, it's being spun as a major victory for dictator Donald Trump, or would-be dictator Donald Trump. And the meltdown, as you expect, is all over cable news. Take a look.
Donald Trump is promising retribution.
This decision poses a threat to democracy.
Why was it one of the last cases that were put out? Why didn't they dispatch this quickly? Why was this at the very end? This is very frightening.
Blueprint on how to end the rule.
Are you arguing
the hypothetical that was dealt with in the Court of Appeals about SEAL Team 6? What if the president decides that a political adversary is a threat to democracy and orders the killing?
What is Trump going to do? If Trump gets elected and there's this idea that he can get away with even more stuff, that's really, really scary for the public. It's almost like a license to thug in a way. Like, you can do whatever you want, and the Supreme Court is probably going to let you get away with it.
Yes, of course, it's the end of democracy for about the 50th time this year. In truth, this was not a victory for Trump. It's simply a victory for common sense. Again, broad immunity for official acts, none for unofficial acts as president. The dissenting opinion, written by Sonia Sotomayor, claims the decision is an atrocity, writing in part, the President of the United States is the most powerful person in the country and possibly the world. When he uses his official powers in any way under the majority's reasoning, he will now be insulated from criminal prosecution. Orders the Navy SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival? Immune, she says. Well, that's not even close to the case, and we're going to get into that here in a second with Will Scharf. But I guess you would say immune other than the fact that he would be immediately impeached and immediately removed from power, which of course would negate the entire reason to use his immense powers to sideline a political opponent. Ironically, left-wing Twitter is full of pundits calling for Biden to take advantage of this immunity and consolidate power around himself. Most of the fury from the left centers around January 6th, of course, in a case that was bound to be lost regardless of the Supreme Court's decision. We now know Trump, of course, held a political rally where his final instructions to the crowd, as we've heard so many times, were to march peacefully and patriotically and make their voices heard. And since that day, 3.5 years ago, a massive, no-holds-barred investigation has never been able to uncover any even hint of a coup plot at all that involved Donald Trump. But what has been uncovered, of course, was Trump's efforts to secure the Capitol and the Capitol complex, which he perfectly delineated at Thursday night's debate. Take a look.
The mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered $10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it, too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down.
Pretty clear when you hear it that way. So this immunity ruling is not only sensible, necessary to protect any president, it's also another dagger in the terrifying political lawfare that's been introduced in our country. The Biden White House launching an assault against the ruling, typical talking points you would expect. But just imagine the liabilities that Joe Biden would face without immunity. After nearly 4 years of a completely blown out southern border in the country, done so for political reasons. And of course, the liabilities that come with that, the atrocities, the carnage that came with that, or the incompetence that led to 13 soldiers blown up in Afghanistan and the snap response that got an entire innocent Afghan family killed in response from the U.S. government. After 7 years of vilifying Trump, turning him into a Hitler-esque demon in our media, we now have a third of our country, and you can see them screaming right now, that are ready to rip our entire system apart, our entire system of justice apart, the Constitution apart, all in an effort to neutralize Donald Trump. The crazies just keep screaming, threat to democracy. That's the phrase they use every single time. And ironically, as we see today, they're attempting to destroy democracy in order to save democracy.